Welcome to Practice Playbook, your go-to podcast for mastering the art of practice management as a financial advisor. I'm Brandon Chapman, an independent financial advisor based in Vancouver, BC, and the founder of AdvisorFlow. I'm on a mission to become the best advisor I can be and to share the tools and strategies that consistently enhance the client experience. Each episode of this podcast is adapted from a live webinar, and we've distilled them into a digestible format for your convenience. Here, we bring top speakers and industry experts to share actionable strategies, insights, and tips to help elevate your practice. In today's episode, we'll explore building an integrated tech stack, where you'll learn how to integrate multiple systems to maximize efficiency in your practice. Whether you're just starting out or looking to refine an established practice, this podcast offers real-world advice to help you succeed. Let's dive in.
Welcome to our deep dive on building your own awesome advisor tech stack. You know, the one that doesn't just work, but actually makes your life easier.
Yeah.
We got some seriously great insights from this webinar with François Levasseur, VP of Global Alliances at Equisoft, and Kelly Gustafson, a tech consultant who's all about that advisor experience.
Love her.
They're tackling the big questions about, what's the advisor tech scene like these days?
Right.
And how do you actually build a stack that really, truly works for you? Not just anybody, you.
I love that they're focusing on building something that's really personalized.
Totally.
Because there's so much tech out there, it's overwhelming.
It is. And it's changing so fast, too.
It is. You blink and there's a new app or a platform to check out.
Exactly.
But it's exciting, too. The Canadian advisor tech landscape is evolving so quickly.
It is. We're finally moving away from those old, clunky systems.
Riddance.
Right. And now we're seeing all these robust platforms popping up with way better integrations and data standards.
Yes. And the key is knowing how to put it all together.
Oh, for sure. It's like François said, you can't just build your ecosystem piecemeal.
You'll end up with a Frankenstein tech monster.
Seriously. He actually said, and I quote, "You will end up with a mess. So the data will flow everywhere, but you're going to have duplicates, have duplication problems. You're going to see a lag of efficiency. The stack will slow you down. It's going to create frustration in your life. Your level of happiness will decrease rapidly."
Wow. Strong words, but he's not wrong.
Not at all.
You really need to be strategic about building your tech stack.
Totally. It has to align with how you work, how your practice runs.
100%. It's not just about having the fanciest new tech.
Nope.
It's about having the right tech for you.
And that's a key point. I'm curious, though, what did you think about François talking about AI? Like, what if you could use something like ChatGPT to summarize your whole financial plan?
Okay, yeah. I mean, that's mind-blowing, but also kind of scary, right?
A little bit.
Like, what does that mean for the future of advice?
Right. It's moving so fast. But imagine feeding in examples of, like, all your client emails. So it learns your style, your tone. And then you could just be like, hey, ChatGPT, give me a 3-bullet summary of this client's financial plan. Boom, done.
Okay. That's kind of amazing, actually.
It is.
But it does make you wonder about the role of the advisor in all of this.
For sure. But I think it highlights what Kelly was saying about knowing yourself first.
Yes.
Before you even look at tech. Like, what's your team like? What's your budget? What are your pain points? All that. She said, so my call to action is to just reach out to me on LinkedIn or through Brandon if you have any questions about what I'm going to talk about.
Right. Because you can't solve a problem you don't understand.
Exactly. And she knows that advisors are like the busiest people ever.
Oh, yeah. Always running around.
So she's all about leveraging resources you might already have, like your MGA or dealer.
Makes sense. Why reinvent the wheel?
Right. They've probably already done the homework on a ton of different tech options.
And you don't want to waste time on something that's not going to work for you.
Definitely not. But you know what else she brought up that I thought was really important?
What's that?
Cybersecurity. Making sure any new tool you're using is actually safe and secure, especially when you're dealing with, like, super sensitive client data.
Oh, absolutely. That's a must-have.
She's like, if you're excitable, like me, and get sucked into chasing the technology that has the answers to all your problems, and you're putting private client data into it, and it has not been vetted, you may be facing some unintended consequences. So make sure you're asking your dealer and make sure you're asking your MGA first. You don't miss this step. And also, make sure you have cyber insurance, cybersecurity insurance. Don't just jump into something without doing your due diligence.
Yeah, that's great advice. Don't skip the vetting process.
Don't skip it.
So we've talked about knowing yourself, knowing your needs, and making sure your tech is secure. But what does that actually look like in practice?
Right. Well, Kelly actually walked us through a real-life case study of an advisor she helped build their tech stack.
Ooh, like a behind-the-scenes look.
Yeah.
What did she do?
So she basically creates this super detailed profile for each advisor she works with, like almost like a client profile.
Interesting. So what kind of information does she gather?
All sorts of things.
Yeah.
Your age, how long you've been an advisor, what licenses you have, what your book of business looks like, even what your tech comfort level is, like are you a techie or not?
Wow. That's really thorough.
And it makes sense, right?
It does. The more she knows about the advisor, the better she can tailor her recommendations.
Exactly. And she really digs deep. It's not just surface level stuff.
So what kind of questions does she ask?
Well, she said, I'm quoting here, so, and I'm also trying to color within the lines of regulation and compliance. So I want to know how old you are, how long you've been in business, what's your license to sell, how big your block is, what's in your block, the product mix, what markets you're working in, who are your primary carriers, your MGA, your dealer, what tech are you using, what tech are you pretending to use, your attitude and aptitude as they relate to tech, what's keeping you up at night, what's working, what's not, and all those things. And this is what this looks like when I get this information. It's like a full-on investigation.
That's amazing. She really wants to understand the advisor's world.
She does. And I love how it makes building a tech stack feel way less intimidating. It's like, okay, someone's actually taken the time to get to know me and my needs.
Right. It's not just about throwing a bunch of random tech at you and hoping something sticks.
Totally. So for this particular advisor, she came up with a three-pronged approach.
Okay. I'm intrigued. Lay it on me.
First, she recommended Equisoft as the base.
Mm-hmm.
It's a really solid CRM that's built to handle all the, Canadian financial stuff.
Yeah, makes sense. A good CRM is essential.
Totally. Then she recommended life design analysis for insurance mining because, this advisor had a pretty big book of business and needed a way to find opportunities faster.
Got it. Automate that stuff.
Exactly. And last but not least, she suggested AdvisorFlow. It's supposed to be awesome for, making client onboarding smooth and easy and for collecting all that data.
So each of those tools, they're tackling a specific problem the advisor was facing.
Exactly. It's not just about, collecting a bunch of random tech. It's about finding the right tools for the job.
And for the advisor. So it all comes back to that personalization piece.
It does. It's amazing how the right tech can really free you up to focus on the human side of advising. Building those relationships, providing that personalized advice.
That's what it's all about. And something else that stood out to me.
What's that?
Both Kelly and François talked about how important collaboration is, not just between advisors and their MGAs or dealers,
Right.
but across the whole industry, everyone working together.
Are we talking about a super streamlined ecosystem where data flows between all the different platforms?
Exactly. Imagine no more data silos, way less manual entry, and a smoother experience for clients. Wouldn't that be amazing?
That would be a game changer.
I know. So it got me thinking, what does your ideal advisor tech ecosystem look like?
Ooh, good question.
What tools would make your life as an advisor way easier and, more fulfilling?
I love that. So let's talk about some specifics. We mentioned Equisoft, life design analysis, AdvisorFlow. Can we break those down a little?
Definitely. So François talked about how Equisoft is such a popular choice for Canadian advisors. It's a CRM that can actually handle the Canadian financial landscape, all the nuances, the compliance stuff, data, feeds from carriers, and cloud storage.
Right. And I heard it also integrates with Outlook.
Yes.
And it has paper file scanning, which is huge for those of us who still have a few filing cabinets lurking around.
It's all about making life easier, right?
For real. So let's talk about life design analysis. Kelly recommended that for the busy advisor in her case study. What makes it so good for insurance mining?
Well, think about it. It's all about automation. So life design analysis basically scans your whole book of business. And it flags opportunities like renewals, coverage gaps, all that stuff. So instead of you having to go through every single client file,
Annually.
the software does the heavy lifting for you.
It's like having an extra set of eyes on your business.
Exactly. Now, AdvisorFlow, Brandon, he's the founder of AdvisorFlow.
Okay.
He was talking about how crucial it is to streamline the client experience,
Yeah.
especially during onboarding.
That could be a pain point for sure.
Totally. And he emphasized how AdvisorFlow can directly connect to your CRM, like Equisoft. And it automates data collection, which is huge. Here's what he said. What formerly was collected through emails and PDFs is now being collected through AdvisorFlow. What used to be saved in emails and paper files is now being automatically organized in Equisoft CRM. Financial plans that were being built in Navy Plan are being built in Planworth or other newer financial planning software.
So it's like taking all that back and forth, all that paper shuffling,
Yes,
and making it digital and seamless.
exactly. It's better for the advisor and the client.
Totally. And Brandon made a good point about transparency with clients. They expect that more than ever.
Oh, yeah. They want to know what they're paying for, what services they're getting.
Right. And, clients are way more tech savvy these days.
They are. They expect a good digital experience.
It's interesting how all these tools kind of work together, right? You've got the CRM as your foundation.
Yes.
Then you layer on these other tools like life design analysis, AdvisorFlow to automate stuff and make things better for the client.
It's like building this well-oiled machine.
I love that analogy.
But, with so many options out there,
Oh, yeah.
it can be super overwhelming to even know where to start.
I feel that.
And Kelly really stressed how important it is to know what you need, what your goals are before you do anything.
It's like figuring out the why behind the what. Why do you need this tech? What are you trying to achieve?
Exactly. She had this great quote that sums it all up. Ready for this?
Hit me.
Okay, so she said, so to quickly summarize, just like your client discovery process and as a part of your annual business planning, dig into the details of you, your team, how your business is operating, and the more clarity you have around your challenges and needs, the less time, money, and emotion that you're wasting on the wrong tech choices. Once you've clarified your challenges and prioritized your must-haves, consider what problems you're trying to solve or what goals you want to achieve with technology. This is going to help you determine what features and capabilities you need in your software application. Start with your dealer or MGA or carrier for options because the due diligence has been done. Then look for software applications that are specific to the industry or your niche, and consider the features, functionality, and pricing that you will use, not the features that it has. And it's always fantastic when you find one tool that solves many problems and then make sure you understand the cost to get in and the cost to get out.
I love that. She even repeated that part about considering the features you'll actually use, not just all the bells and whistles.
Right. It's about being practical.
Totally.
So yeah, know what you need, know what problems you're trying to solve, and talk to your dealer, your MGA, your carrier. They've got your back.
Makes sense.
And don't be afraid to get creative. You
Right.
don't have to copy someone else's tech stack exactly.
It's got to work for you.
Yes. Build something that's totally unique to your practice and your clients.
Okay, so we've talked about all these cool tools, all this techie stuff, but I'm sure some people are thinking, how much does all this actually cost?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Is it really worth the investment?
Right. And there's no magic answer that fits everyone.
Of course not.
But both Kelly and François said that having the right tech can actually save you money long term.
Really?
Yeah. Think about all the time you spend doing admin stuff,
Paperwork.
chasing down files. What if you could automate all that?
Right.
Then you have more time for stuff that really matters, like talking to clients.
That's what we want to be doing.
Exactly. Work smarter, not harder, right?
Love that.
And Brandon from AdvisorFlow had this interesting point about how you got to stand out in this digital world.
Okay, yeah.
He said, the only way to address this for advisors that obviously want to make the same or more money is to automate tedious parts of the process in order to service more clients. Like with all these robo-advisors and, DIY investing platforms.
Yeah, they're everywhere.
Advisors need to bring something extra to the table.
So basically, tech can help you level up,
Exactly.
offer more value to your clients.
He actually talked about staying ahead of the curve. He said, and I quote, "As financial advisors, we all know the importance of staying ahead of the curve when it comes to tech, especially the ones on the call because you're actually here. Now, with the rise of robo-advisors, ETFs, and finfluencers, we must remain visible and transparent to ensure that Canadians are going to receive sound financial advice from licensed professionals they can trust."
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. But how do you actually make a case for investing in advisor tech? How do you convince yourself or maybe your team that it's worth it?
Good question. I would say start with your pain points. What's driving you crazy?
Yeah.
Are you spending way too much time on admin tasks?
Mm-hmm.
Struggling to keep up with client emails?
Oh, yeah.
Once you know where tech can really help, then you can look for solutions that fit those problems.
Okay, yeah. Target your efforts.
Exactly. And also think about the cost of not investing. How much are those inefficiencies costing you now?
In time, in money, in stress.
All of it.
So
Yeah.
sometimes you got to spend money to make money.
Exactly.
So before we wrap things up, what are some of the key takeaways here? What do we really want our listeners to remember?
Okay, I'd say the biggest one is embrace self-knowledge. Like you take the time to understand your clients, right? Their goals, their dreams. You got to do the same for your own practice. Know your strengths, your weaknesses, what you're aiming for.
It's like, know thyself.
Exactly. Number 2, don't be afraid to try new things.
Experiment.
Yes.
Yeah.
Advisor tech is always changing. So be open to new tools, new platforms.
But, always do your research, make sure it's secure, and work with your MGA or dealer.
Right.
Yeah, Kelly was very clear about that.
Don't forget cybersecurity.
And lastly, collaborate, talk to each other. Advisors, MGAs, dealers, share what's working, learn from each other.
Community over competition.
I love that.
So building your tech stack, it's a journey. It's not about finding the perfect final setup.
Right.
It's about constantly learning, improving, adapting as the industry changes.
Well said.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive, we hope you're feeling like, okay, I can do this.
Yeah.
I can build a tech stack that actually works for me.
Because you can.
Remember, the right tech can totally transform your practice, help you work smarter, and let you focus on what really matters, your clients.
Thanks for tuning in to Practice Playbook. If you found today's episode valuable, don't forget to subscribe so you'll never miss an update. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Please leave a review or send me a message on LinkedIn, as I'd love to connect. For more tips and insights, follow us on social media and stay tuned for upcoming episodes featuring expert speakers and practical advice to elevate your practice. Until next time, keep striving for excellence and building a practice that reflects your goals.